Thank God. Alright. It's been a goddamn shit show tonight. Get her up there, Chris. Get her up there.
I think that's good.
Get her up there. Okay.
I think that's good.
Okay.
No, because you're gonna hear it. We got like an infinity loop.
Okay. So this is no doubt going to be one of the shittiest episodes of Wasted Time we've had. But
we were feeling thankful since it's Thanksgiving. Yeah.
And what you should feel too. This is Lauren Barber. He's been one of the best friends we've had over the last few years. He's a really smart guy. And y'all are going to enjoy to hear what he has to say tonight. Other than that, I would like to introduce none other than Chris Beho.
That's me. You may know me from past episodes. I'm the other half of Wasted Time with Chris and Brett. And
it's Brett and Chris. Just letting y'all know.
I'm the Chris and
I'm the Chris of the Brett. Wasted Time.
So regardless of how wasted we are tonight, regardless of how shitty,
I mean, we're really pushing into the limits here.
Regardless of how shitty our video or audio equipment is, or how much lack of understanding in the world we have right now, the show must go on. My first topic that I actually gave a shit about was Portugal the Man. Yeah! What'd you think about that, Chris?
I mean, I've been listening to him before you even knew about him, so I feel like you just liked him after you heard him on the radio, and I'm just gonna lay that there for you to dissect.
That's where you're wrong, Chris, because that's where your first mistake was, is hurrying. Portugal the Man.
Hurrying or hurrying?
I'm trying to reach multiple crowds right now, and I'm using the word hurrying.
Okay. Well, I heard
Portugal the Man way before you did. Not on the radio, because they haven't started playing on the radio until recently with their song Feel It Still.
Exactly.
And you didn't even know that, Chris, because you don't even listen to the radio.
Dude, look at my sweater right now.
It screams Portugal the Man.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean you listen to Portugal
this
the Man.
Screams, I've known bands way longer than you have.
That screams you wish you had more cats than you did. You only have one cat. That sweater screams like 8 cats.
I'm tired of cats.
What?
Don't be rude to a crowd.
Portugal the Man. They started out making music in a garage, taking ecstasy. They didn't even want to be in a band. They happened to have a guy that played the piano, a guy that played the guitar, a guy with sweet vocals, and everyone was like, hey, you guys should get together, meet up, and play. And it started out with just a group of 20 people listening to Portugal the Man, and out of probably a year or two, it turned into an overnight sensation. The band is now making music about ideology with the modern Jesus, saying, I don't need a modern Jesus, I don't need another lover, I just need a friend. Talking about things in life that are relevant to today, because everyone's talking about religion and whether or not they need it and whether or not it needs to be there for them. Portugal Man's making a grand break on that.
It's got benefits for sure, right?
What do you think about that?
It's kind of like the placebo effect, right? If you believe something is happening to you, then it has potential benefits to your life.
Well, everyone, I don't know if
but it doesn't make it true.
Exactly. I don't know if you've ever noticed their music. Their album cover is a double-tongued, demonic-looking figure. Everyone's always posting album covers with a triangle with an eye in it, or trying to look Illuminati, or trying to look demonic, trying to look like their music.
Yeah, but that's a selling point.
Exactly.
People like that
but
shit.
I don't think Portugal the Man was doing it as a selling point. I don't think they're doing it as an ideology type thing. I think it actually reflects the type of music that they make. They're not trying to sell anything that isn't what it is. What they're giving you is the truth. And not the truth of the world, obviously. It's not like they're selling a Bible or a secret answer. It's just what these guys truly believe in, and like their code and ethics of life. They're putting it into their music, and they're not doing it from a mainstream point of sell. They're doing it because that's who they are, and that's why their music is doing so successful. What do you think about that?
I think like all that devil shit, like I mean, like the triangles.
Yeah.
And all this shit. It's just
the bad boy
it's just
magic.
It's just
shit.
Yeah, it's a selling point. It gets people interested in it. Even if it's in a bad way, it's good publicity.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
No one thinks
so. Everybody's watching that shit. You know
no
what I'm
one
saying?
thinks they're Masonic or demonic, or that their songs have encryptic messages of the afterlife, or some secretive meaning that they're trying to point out.
I mean, that shit couldn't exist on the flat Earth.
My
you know what I'm saying?
favorite song about they have "Feel It Still," which is obviously their mainstream song, the song that's getting popular, gaining the most attention. My favorite song by Portugal, period, the man, is actually the song called "So Young." They're talking about pretty much what it's like to be young in the ages of what I would call 20 to 25. I'm not older than that, so I really can't pass off and tell you what I feel. Enjoy that. This is The Jewel, made by Pax Labs, ironically owned by Virginia Tobacco, which is a tobacco company. This is a device made to get you off of tobacco and nicotine-free. Very ironic. Makes me buzz my ass off. Very much love it. But back to Portugal the Man.
It's not even him, dude.
Dude, tap it. He's lying. He's lying. This is another song. We'll throw it up on there. Everyone can listen to Portugal the Man, whether or not they like the music, and enjoy it. They're not forcing ideas, they're not speaking ideas that you can either disagree or agree with. It's almost like every single sentence they say is a broad statement, and you take what you want from it. There's not very many people or bands out there doing this today. Everyone's like-minded or being very generic. It's talking about things like love or going out, or just things that everyone can agree with or talk about and listen to, which is what we would call mainstream. Portugal the Man has made it to mainstream radio. They're getting played, their ideas are being spread, but they're doing things different than the other bands that are in the position that they are. It's something not talked about, something that we could talk about all night and no one will ever take anything from it. I just wanted to share it tonight because it needed to be discussed. Round two, we all know about the sexual allegations going on with movie stars, recorders, directors, anybody. It's a dangerous time to be famous. I always wanted to be an actor or a singer, someone who is in that field, like just inspiring people. Like that's what acting is. You're not just being a famous person, you're actually playing the character of someone in a film, specifically to make people watching that film feel your emotions. Those people have motives. And now that we have recently learned that some of the people in that industry have some creepy ass rape of type motives, like, is our viewings differently? Are we thinking about Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein differently from the types of films they've created and knowing what type of person they are in their personal life? Has that distracted us at all? What do you think? Specifically, I guess, with Kevin Spacey, since he's the main one in the attention that is trying to push off most of the attention, coming out as a gay man and whatnot. How do you feel about that?
I think it depends on what you do. Like Kevin Spacey came on to a 14-year-old boy. That's not acceptable. And I mean, I know that was years ago, but it doesn't make it anymore any less wrong.
Doesn't it? Just means that someone finally had the courage to come forth about it. Which there's times in Hollywood where people mask something for 10, 15 years. And sometimes you think, oh, that person just came out for the money or for publicity. But in this specific case, it's another actor. It's not a civilian or another regular person. It's just a guy who happened to be an actor at a younger age who is now also famous. And he had a sexual encounter with Kevin Spacey as a young male, and that freaked him out. And he's just now coming forth about it. And disgustingly enough, Kevin Spacey addressed this issue. Other than admitting to it, he just said, hey, I'm a gay guy. Like the fact that he's a gay man distracts people from the fact that he just touched a 14-year-old boy. And so there's ways that it's dangerous. There's ways that people are... Anytime something happens to you as a celebrity, you don't think about it and just go out and talk to the public. You talk to your publicity people. You talk to anyone who's publicly imaging yourself. So these weren't his own ideas. It's obviously a cover or something he's trying to do to get out of trouble. how can we prevent this in the future? Like, obviously, there's executives out there pressuring hot women that are actors, pursuing real careers, and damaging their futures by these disgusting things that are happening. Do you think Hollywood's going to do anything to prevent this, or do you think it's going to be an ongoing thing that gets shoved under the blanket in a few months?
Dude, I don't know. I'm not in Hollywood. But from what I hear, it's not very...
I don't think
it's not a very safe place for...
It's not safe. Exactly. There's tons of actors right now that are
and honestly,
shitting themselves.
I don't care about Hollywood.
Hollywood's fake. Like, if you are, like, let's say you're a good-looking person or you have acting skills. Let's say your dreams and hopes are to one day end up in Hollywood and excuse me,
get out of it.
Pursue your dreams. If you are an actor, you have to exhume that most of the things you're wanting to do, they aren't because you're a good actor, because you're the right one for the job. They're because you know the right people or that you're the right place at the right time. It's Hollywood. You're talking to directors. You're talking to anybody. They're hiring you for hidden agendas. Anyone in Hollywood, anyone that's doing your job, there's someone out there that can do it better. Like, there's Kevin Spacey had all these great roles that inspired people to think he is who the person he is now. There could have been another guy that did his job. Everyone's just thinking now that if you have the skills, like if you are naturally a creepy person, if you give off a rapey vibe, that's creepy. That's not accepted. But if you're an actor and you're trying to purposely give off that vibe, it's considered as art. But now, as a public, we're starting to step back and look, hey, how did these people acquire these skills? So now the acting and the art forms that are done by anyone involved in these sexual scandals, whether it's something as far as someone saying you said something 20 years ago or saying you raped them 5 days ago, their artwork is being saturated and tainted to where, can we really respect what's going on in Hollywood? When you see someone being raped on film, you know it's just a film. You know it's something that you were meant to watch and feel something about. But whenever you learn that the actor that portrayed that is an actual person who's capable of doing that, how does that not taint everything? How are you not more creeped out than you are enlightened? You know what I'm saying? So Hollywood's dangerous. All the things people fake do to make us believe that they did it, how do we know that they're not actually that type of person? It's a terrible fucking time to be an actor. Like, who is respected and who's not, we don't know. I guess it comes down to who hires the best publicist.
Wow, you had a lot to say about that.
That's what I'm saying.
You really thought about that situation.
I'm living in Denton right now. It's like one of the second or third biggest art schools in the area that we live in. There's a lot of people who are actually putting time and effort and thought into this. I'm actually very good friends with a guy who works with a talent agency where his job is to find people who have talent and put them in the right job. He's an intern, so obviously he's not a professional who can just do this. Now he's left with the thought of, wow, am I dealing with a creepy person or am I dealing with a good actor? Now the world will never know, and we get to choose to respect and unrespect whoever. It makes it a tough place. Very tough. Especially when you're dealing with very good actors. Everyone loved Kevin Spacey, but once you think he's a rapist and you're applauding him for like a rape scene, what are you left to do? You know? We can move on. We can move on. We've talked about Portugal the Man. We've talked about these actors. I've actually had several things in my pocket left to talk about that special guest over here believes is a hoax. Because he tried to bust it with me in a bar earlier. Earlier this year, I read an article about a man named... What was his name? Oh, fuck his name. Doesn't even matter. He apparently came from the future and made an $800 investment and 2 weeks later became a millionaire. Made $30 million from random stock market investments. And he was arrested.
Sources?
You want sources? Well,
there's a JPEG picture of a scanned
Why you gotta
news
say
article.
JPEG? Why you gotta say JPEG? That's what
I'm just describing the picture.
Yeah.
And then the format of the picture is...
Who's JPEG and what do I know about?
JPEG is fake. That's what he's trying to get at, right?
It's a scanned newspaper article.
CNN.
Well, that's at least what it looks like.
When did he come from the future? He came to 2017?
And made... Okay. I don't believe this guy came from the future.
Bro, you just haven't even Googled it yet. You're just
I've
wanting
actually...
to believe...
No, I've spent a
what
lot
you
of
wanna
time
believe.
researching it. I haven't researched whether or not it's real. Of course not. How can anyone... I can dig into 10 sources, and none of those sources are going to tell me, hey, this guy was born here, lived here, had a girlfriend in elementary school.
Okay,
over
no,
here.
I wanna... He came to what time?
Supposedly...
So when did this happen?
In the 90s. All...
So he came to
The
the
only
90s.
There's no facts of where he came from. The only facts are this random guy
He showed up in the 90s.
started out with an $800 investment. $800. 2 weeks later, the investments that he turned out in the stock
It was
market,
350 million.
$350 million.
So why would a man from the future come with $800
To make $350, how can you turn $800 into
Yeah, but
$300 million?
Why would that be all you do when you come from the future is to make millions of dollars?
People are greedy. Why do people jack off every day?
Yeah, but he knows about time travel. Why the fuck would he care about?
Well, that means everyone knows
Getting
about time
rich.
travel.
Who knows that time travel isn't the #1 deficit type thing in the world? Like, what do you want to do? with your
This
life?
guy came from a future where time travel is possible, and he invests $8 in the stock market or all that shit, and just to make millions and live a happy life.
What if he wasn't a millionaire in the time period he's from?
Then how would he have access to time travel?
You don't have to be rich to have access to time travel if you're smart.
Yeah, but he's incredibly smart, so because he has access to time travel.
It's just a news article, Chris.
It's a JPEG
I don't know
picture
why.
of a news article.
I don't know why he came from where he came from. I obviously do not believe he's from the future. All I believe is that a guy made these certain stock information.
Why not come back to where you could create Google or Apple or create...
That comes with responsibility. Just because you create Apple doesn't mean you're a millionaire.
You
also have the
change the
responsibility.
past, so you change how the future.
Yeah, but
happens.
you're also known as a great man.
That guy, but what if he doesn't want to be known? What if he just wants to be rich and selfish? There's a lot of ways it could go. I don't think he's a time traveler.
I'm convinced he's a time traveler. I'm gonna get down to the bottom of this.
I didn't even think. Hey, where the fuck did Lauren go? What the
Go
fuck?
carry the camera in there and get on the...
Lauren's in my bed.
Well, I'm not gonna carry the camera in there because that's gonna ruin everything.
I'll tell you something.
Tell us something.
I don't know what I was gonna say. I forgot. But
Other than that, I only had, where's my phone? Only one more thing that really needed to be talked about. And it's really not even that important. My phone's...
I remember.
my phone's
CRISPR.
dead.
CRISPR.
I gotta...
Dude, in the next fucking 10 years, you'll be able...
There's
already a guy that...
They already have CRISPR. Designer babies? Old news.
Yeah,
man.
no. It's not old news. A guy just did it. In the last few days, a guy was just injected with different DNA because he had a genetic disease that couldn't be cured. So he was injected with something from CRISPR that would help counteract those...
So you're saying CRISPR in the first time in technology has been used to save a life other than change created
perhaps.
life?
I mean, he's pretty much...
Because the CRISPR was
he's
created
pretty much
for gene genetics, right? Like for changing designer babies, like picking out the green eyes.
I mean, that's not specifically what it was created for.
But that's what it can do that. That's what designer...
It can do that.
The idea of designer babies came from the CRISPR, genetic mutation. Correct?
I don't think so. I don't
Isn't
know.
that what the CRISPR is changing genetics?
Well, I mean, what
and
was a car designed for? I mean, you can
drive?
Yeah,
Well,
do whatever
We're
you
talking
want
about
for it.
genetic mutation, though. It's
Yeah,
all,
but I
obviously
mean-
has a little bit more potential than driving a car.
Exactly. So, I mean, I didn't think they just, they weren't thinking about designing babies. It's about fixing your mutations and your genetics.
You're saying for the first time it's been used successfully?
Shit that can't be erased.
So you're saying for the first time, CRISPR...
I don't know if it's successfully, but the first
been
guy this week has been
exposed to that type of technology to see if it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're actually putting that in the media before the result is out. That's a first.
Well, yeah,
They usually don't tell us about something until it's successful, because if that guy dies, then I'm like, oh yeah, that guy died.
Well, he's a lab rat. Yeah.
That guy died.
Exactly.
No, I see where you're coming. That's really cool. I hope I didn't spill that.
That's empty.
No, but that's another thing that I can't really talk about it because I don't have enough knowledge on it, but pretty much anything that gets done scientifically obviously starts with the rats, starts with small experiments, then moves up, if it's a serious experiment, moves its way up to rats. From rats, they go to monkeys, and from monkeys, they find, if it happens to go a little bit further, they're like, oh, what human wants to try this? And they've been doing this since the 40s, 50s, 60s, but now it's starting to get really sick. Like in the 40s, it was like, can we mix this type of a person with this type of person and see if they live? Now it's like, who fucking knows? Can we put like a dog heart in like a human brain? I don't even know, dude. Like they're trying every single thing they can these days.
There's a doctor that's about to do a brain transplant.
There's a doctor about to do a head transplant.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Complete, like, cut the head off and put on a complete other body
Yeah.
to see if it works.
No, I thought it was the brain.
No,
It's
the whole head.
I
The
thought it
whole
was the
fucking
whole head.
head.
What university? This has to be a Russian university.
No. He's
Why's
like
it gotta be the head?
he's like taking someone's head and putting it on another person's body.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Nick knows.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I thought it was just the brain. I
No,
thought it was
it's
just
the whole
brain.
fucking-
I don't get on Facebook enough to read this like mass populated news.
I got
only
this on
find
Twitter.
I
Just
try
check
to
'em
find
out.
the things that no one else finds. But this is what I'm saying. There's very sick things happening.
Oh, you know what we should talk about? Net
Internet?
neutrality. I bet Nick is very into this. This is some fucked up shit, dude. If the FCC decides to destroy net neutrality, we're gonna lose all our rights to the internet. We're gonna have to pay for shit on the internet to get to our favorite websites, and it's fucked up.
That sounds fucked up.
No.
But think about it. The internet
What
was.
the?
The
Are
internet
you
was.
defending it?
I'm not defending it.
The internet is free.
It is because
I think-
the internet is free because the people who invented it gave it to us. The internet was created for funding reasons, military reasons, political. It wasn't invented for us.
The internet was
Yeah, it's
Invented
invented
for the
for.
military.
It wasn't military advance like perfectly for
Yeah,
the
so
satellites.
was GPS.
Do you really think that an internet is for people to get on Facebook?
we just accessed
It should be.
It should be, but that's because we the people say so. We
Well, yeah, that's what do you mean? Because we the people say so.
No, we're
It's
talking about
it's a lot more.
should
It's a lot more complicated than that because the internet is free. Anyone can use it.
Exactly.
And whatever. But the
Only
problem
because-
is, how do you tap into the internet? So like
The way the
you in your
government lets
apartment,
us.
you can
You
go
have a
through your
friend like
mobile
Nick.
phone, or you can go through the Suddenlink, like your ISP.
Yeah.
There's illegal
No,
ways
no.
in
And
the
what else?
dark web.
No. Well, if you could use the dark web and it wouldn't be able to regulate what websites you go to, like net neutrality, if they changed the legislation, it wouldn't affect your browser. Like if you use
Not the dark web.
if you use the special browser, but
Yeah, but you will be
It-
charged to use certain websites.
yeah,
that
you
favor
will
most.
potentially. Not for certain. Like there will be some ISPs, like you have Suddenlink, you have Dish, other options. Some ISPs won't. They'll say, "We'll just give you what we've always given you." Some will.
Yeah, but why even give them the chance?
Is it costing money?
But I think before we get into like what side we agree with and whatnot, I think the important thing is to understand both sides of the debate. So like the side that like Comcast would argue would be, well, we can cater better to your needs. If you're not an online gamer and you just use your Wi-Fi for
Your social.
checking Facebook, you use very little data. So therefore, we can make a bundle for you that saves you money.
And to use the site.
And then for the people that
Aw.
do use a lot more internet, that are gamers and streamers,
That's bullshit,
We can
dude.
charge
Does
them
that not
more.
sound like bullshit?
It does sound like bullshit, but
no,
you have to think about
They're
it.
gonna
from
make
a
some money
software
off
point
of
of
it.
view.
No, there is no
They
Let me-
Software point of view, it's working right now. They have different plans.
let's continue the context though. There's a lot more context to it. So the idea, in a sense, net neutrality is regulation, and laissez-faire would be taking away net neutrality.
Exactly.
So if you take away the regulations, then these companies like suddenly can do whatever they want.
They don't work together.
But the problem with that is when you get an apartment in like some apartment building, sometimes you only have one option for your internet provider.
Like what we're faced with right now.
You only get one option, and because of that one option, you're kind of stuck. It's a monopoly, and therefore it's not a free market because you don't have other options to choose from.
Well,
So in a sense, their marketing is it as a deregulation, but in a sense, it's allowing for
is there another one of these?
crazy monopolies that you can't avoid.
And Comcast is one
Well,
of the biggest
one thing
ones.
people forget, like, we take the internet so for granted, and I would love for Nick to hop back in on this since he's such a internet savvy guy. The internet was created first for military purposes, then for money purposes, and then for network purposes. We were the very last ones to hop on. The term network, internet, actually comes from the fact that if everyone wanted to have their own form of internet, it would be far too expensive. It would take way too long for the internet to travel over that vast space and times. We actually share satellites and stations with every internet enterprise is connected. They're not company connected, but they're towers. We can transfer signals through any of them, and they share something called the internet, the shortened version. Once people start charging for any portion of that, it does create a monopoly over the whole vast system. If anyone in the whole internet process wants to charge people and everyone has to do it, it's going to create a whole entire mess for everyone to get involved, but it's something that's unavoidable because all of the towers that are owned in the world to create internet are owned by about 10 different companies, and they all have to play in sync to give us our internet.
It's not necessarily unavoidable because it's been working so far.
We can use it now.
The thing about this law is that it'll only affect the U.S. So people in Europe can still access whatever websites they want for the same. Their ISP, which is their internet service provider, can't regulate what they can and can't see.
Is that due to NSA regulations?
No. Right now we're free at the most. Like there's some stuff that is blocked in the country, but
does it not seem just like a money grab for you? Everything is working.
yeah, it is
Dark
blocked,
web.
but it is.
It's a money grab
But it is.
for the companies
But
that want to control the internet.
The biggest issue isn't for the customer that's choosing what package they want to pay for, they're going to pay more money. The biggest issue is a new content provider that is joining the internet. Like say you want to make a new website that's a blog and people can comment on it. You may get marginalized because some ISPs out there may be like, well, you're just some no-name website. Why should we allow our customers to go to you? Let's just let our customers go to Facebook and YouTube because that's all they paid for.
People are
Therefore,
charging for
they'll
internet
never be able to
space.
see your website.
Exactly.
But how is it right to charge for internet space when the internet is so vast and anyone can access it? Just because we are being limited to what we can access here in the... Is it not almost... do you not consider that infringement or fraud? Or like, you know, what way would you look at it from an internet guy and seeing how free the internet is for everybody to use? What's going on with the government right now? What word did you use to describe that?
Used to describe what in particular?
Them limiting and trying to charge. Like, I mean, it's something that's useful for everybody. But of course, whoever's thinks they're in control is trying.
I don't think there's any question in it.
That's.
You don't think we have the option?
Well, right now what's going on is
No, I don't think there's any.
it all depends on who's in the White House. With Democrats, the FCC sends a type more.
Who controls this database? Who has ultimate control of what we can and cannot
As
do?
Americans, the FCC controls this piece that we're talking about, and who has control over the FCC is the White House. So like
Is that
in the
NSA
Obama
related?
No, in the Obama administration, they wanted net neutrality, and then in all Republican administrations since the internet came about,
And this is a common thing we're voting about.
they wanted to take away net neutrality.
Why is this not something that we're hearing about in public standpoints and that we as a people get to vote on?
I mean that you choose who you put in the White House.
Oh, of course we choose who we put in the White House, and they choose what we get to vote on. But Why is this? Why do you think this hasn't become an up and coming subject?
It is.
It is, and a lot of people are talking to their congressmen, and the congressmen will be the ones who ultimately vote for it.
So it has nothing to do with House of Representatives. We're just talking to specifically up and higher congressmen.
I'm pretty sure it'll be the Congress and Senate to vote for it.
But I still it is a big deal, and it is something that people are talking about.
The reason it's
But
coming,
it's not as big as
the
it
reason
should
it's
be.
coming up is not because there have been problems or like we need to fix a problem. The reason is, for the most part, it's just the industry is lobbying with.
Exactly.
People are-
Lobbyists. It's
people
a
are trying
fucking
to
cash
make money.
grab.
Comcast has been given a lot of money to improve their infrastructure, like their lines,
When
like
you
private internet. They've been given money by the government because it's in the government's best interest that your country has good internet. You know, your country has better
Oh,
internet.
definitely.
You
It's a
can,
point of
your
strength.
technology's better. Your
If you have
education's
great
better.
internet, you
It
have.
it
So-
seems to me like you're giving more control to companies that don't need to control
We're not
something
giving
that should be. Yeah, you are.
We're not
if we
giving it.
lose net
They're
neutrality.
taking it. It looks like we're giving it.
Yeah, but you don't
but
have
they're
to.
actually
You're-
taking it.
You don't have to. There's plenty of people fighting this shit. There's an organization that fights it too, and they need funding. But it's not. It's a fucking cash grab, and
But the funding that the people need to help us is far more than the funding we'll probably ever get to
doesn't
solve
matter.
the problem. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. It doesn't mean that it's not important and that we should give up. It's just saying that we need to find another solution, or this problem needs more attention.
Like even the last FCC chairman or whatever the fuck you call him calls the guy that's in his position now Ajit something. He's an Indian guy, but who's fighting against it. He says it's gross.
Everyone acts
and-
like there's nothing we can do about it. Whenever the people that really can do something about it
there's-
are obviously in the control
No,
of
there's
the
plenty
government.
of people who are fighting this shit.
People are fighting it, but the people that are fighting it obviously aren't the people that can control that fight. They need help, but they need help more than the small percentage of people that are aware about it can give them. That's why we're talking about it tonight on Wasted Time. Like we're gonna reach 5 motherfucking people on this show and hope those 5 people tell 5 people. This is a big deal.
Let me add a story real quick, though, a true story that happened earlier this
I'll
week.
listen from the bathroom.
So FCC has like their own website with forums. You can go comment about things you care about,
Right.
and so there was people commenting on there, hey, we need net neutrality, please keep it. And then after too much traffic on there, they got pretty much shut down, and most of the traffic was actually due to like automated bots that were supporting removing net neutrality. And supposedly some of the ISPs like made these bots and started commenting on these forums.
No shit.
Yeah, so it's
That's
kind of
what I'm
ironic.
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my god, that's ridiculous, dude. It's just it's in. I mean, Comcast says that they support that shit, but then they're behind the
This-
bags
the-
lobbying for it
yeah.
not to be.
Removing net neutrality is dangerous for the country because I think it could hold America back, whereas the rest of the world won't have it. America will.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
And it's gonna hurt.
and
It's gonna hurt like some new college student who's in an apartment that only has one internet provider, and the internet provider is going to charge them
175.
100,
per month.
200% more than they should for one.
So you're saying the
small
only
service
thing that's
that
going to
you-
arise from this is monopolies, and it's going to affect
Yeah.
the poor American college student.
Well, not that in particular, but just somebody who doesn't have options. Like, say you move into a new apartment and you only have one option for your internet provider. It's gonna hurt that person. But like the purpose of like the free market and like capitalism is when you have options. And the problem with this is you don't have options with your internet provider.
Then again, we're talking about the importance of Wi-Fi. Like your job, do you work from home ever? Are you ever a person that needs Wi-Fi at your place
Yep.
of residence?
Yep.
You are.
I do.
So if you were a person that was limited to the Wi-Fi use or one company in your place of residence, that would actually affect your job. We're actually going into a place, especially in America, where specifically guys in our age group, 20 to 25, if you have a job that has to do with Wi-Fi, which almost all of us do, unless you work at a fucking convenience store or somewhere that doesn't need Wi-Fi when you're off the clock, a lot of us need to keep a tab on what we're doing. And if your residence or place of living only offers one service and that place is a monopoly and you're getting ripped off, it may start considering the places that we start to live within the next 5 to 10 years if something doesn't happen about this.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing is we do have the choice to where we live.
Exactly.
But that's a
something
tough
to be
choice to
knowledgeable
make.
about.
That's a tough thing to make someone get up off their feet.
Oh,
and move.
for Wi-Fi. But when we talk about something as important as our jobs, like your job involves computer software developing.
Listen, it doesn't matter whatever fucking choice there is. It should be a free internet. There's
what
no
makes you
other.
say that though?
What do you mean? What
Well,
makes me
hey,
say
Chris,
it? Companies
Chris,
should not have
you didn't-
control over the
you didn't-
internet.
You
Chris.
didn't invent the internet.
No, and
Chris,
neither did the companies. So they
regardless-
shouldn't have control over the internet.
but-
Chris,
it else.
regardless.
It's a free place.
But
Do
who
you,
says?
do you go to the library and say this should be mine?
We live in America where
A library is free,
Chris,
and
we take
so
things
should
for
the
granted.
internet.
Everything is free here in America because we live in America. We think the
Nothing
internet's
is free in America.
But
Look at it.
We
Y'all,
didn't
hey,
build those
no.
towers.
Y'all are. I think you're misunderstanding it. Look at the internet as like a big river. It's just a river you can jump in and swim in, and everyone has access
But
to
someone
it.
put it there.
Exactly.
No.
It's free.
No, and America has some riverfront property on the river. What we're wanting to do now is put up a big fence and a gate.
And allow certain
and a
people
gate,
that have
and
access
if
to
you
it.
buy a ticket at a certain time,
Exactly.
or the VIP
Exactly.
access, you get the better.
And that's
surround
not right.
property.
That's exactly how I
Why
see
is
it.
it
That's how
only
it is.
America though? Why is only America the company or the country thinking about doing
That's a good
this?
question.
Because it's not like we're the only capitalist country, or that like obviously.
China does have a big firewall. So what China
But
would
they're
do,
communists.
China in a sense, if you're looking at it as a river, China has their own like marina off to the side
Yeah,
of the river.
they have a stream
That's-
going on.
Yes.
That they allow
That's
people
interesting
to
what
see.
you're saying. Okay, think about America as a business. America as an economy. Any other country you think of in the world that's doing semi-close to as well as we are, they're doing well because of what they're doing to other countries and their business trade. America is feeding off of the people of America. And we're not making any money off of China or Japan or Korea. We're not making salesmanship with anyone else but our fucking selves. America was joined as a community for capitalism, but we're not capitalizing on anyone but ourselves. So who's really the victim here? I'm not one that's trying to join into ideas of communism because I like the capitalist world that I live in. But when we're only benefiting off of people in our own country, like who's really losing here and who's really the communist? This whole internet trade. This whole
You
internet
just threw me
trade.
for a loop there, buddy.
That's what I'm saying, man. We're common. We're capitalist people. We like to make money off of other people. If I come up with an idea that is better than yours, I expect to make money off of that, and I expect to live my life off of that.
Yeah, it's called
But when we
free
talk
market.
about something as simple and as free as what we thought as the internet and our own government, combined with corporations as far as what they think own the internet in America, trying to charge us for this, it's just like, what is the, like, capitalism is great. Communism is actually great until you find out who's paying for it, which is the other countries.
The
But
poor people.
exactly, capitalism is great, but when our own country is paying for other people in our country to live off of capitalism, how does it work? People are dying in America for people to laugh in America. What the fuck? The fuck, man.
Well,
And it all starts with internet. Right now, our own people are killing our own people to make more money. Why aren't we, like, I don't want to kill Chinese people. I don't think other people in other countries should suffer. But like, if we want to be capitalists, and if we want to profit, and if we want to make money, if we want to make America great again, why are we doing it at the expense of our own people? Internet's fucking gay.
well, Brett, I don't know. You should write a book.
Y'all ain't got nothing for me on that.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't.
I'm
You
serious.
went from capitalism to communism to
Well,
Chinese
because it's
people to.
People jump as soon as you're an American, especially in politics, and you say one sentence and someone's like, "Whoa, that sounds like communism." But we're talking about capitalism here, which everyone agrees with. If capitalism hurts our own country, and like if 80% of people are happy because 20% of people
What
die,
do you mean it hurts our own country? We have everything
Well,
we have everything.
but we're
We
talking about
owe
internet.
everything to capitalism right now.
But we're talking
our
about
phones,
internet.
our laptops, our TVs, our fucking cars.
But when we
That
specifically
was all
talk,
based off of competition
when we
and the free
specifically
market.
talk about internet, though, when it's like they're oxymoron in us. It's like they're trying to make capitalism money off of a communist idea. You're right. The internet does belong to everybody. It's a free enterprise. They're trying to charge us for something that we already fucking have. You can't.
We are getting charged for it. It's just.
It's
different
at
ways.
it seems more fair the way it is now. But
It's like at first everybody was getting the same ticket to the river.
And
you could
now-
go hop in it. Now they're gonna have like a VIP area.
Exactly. You have different
And
accesses
then like
to the favorite
America-
to different places you want.
America's the freest place, but like it's almost like you can't do anything for free anymore. And I mean like anything. It's like if once they find out that there's a portion of people that enjoy something, they're gonna find out a way to charge them. Like if they found out breathing was super enjoyable for everyone, they'd be like, all right, every 2 breaths is 10 cents. Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
It,
Okay. I can understand what you're saying there.
It's just saying, like, it seems like internet should be free, and this infringement of our freedom should, like...
I'm not saying you should. Okay, we pay for it, but it shouldn't be locked into different sections.
But
We're allowed access into it, just like a library. Our taxes pay for the library, but we're allowed access into the library and check those books out for free.
Well,
The
like
internet is the
that's
same
a
way.
good analogy.
Back
Yeah.
what to
Exactly.
Nick said.
So, it's the
Nick
same
said
thing.
the only, like, this whole thing with the internet, it won't create any problems except for the fact that there is monopolies out there. There are places where you only have one option of picking one service provider. And there's multiple service providers that are like 2 or 3 times over the normal limit, and they know that, and it's because they're in specific areas where you only have one option. We have laws in America that prevent us from being in monopolies. Like it's been over 100 years, but now it's like all of a sudden the people on top have some legal way to profit off of the American people.
It's because like capitalism won't survive with monopolies. So if you want to be
at least one at a
if you want
time.
to survive as a capitalist country, you can't allow for monopolies to get over.
It's almost like you have to start monopoly and then be conquered to live in like a somewhat generalized area. Like Bell, our phone companies. At one point in time, we only had 2 or 3 or maybe 4 phone companies, and for 10, 20 years, they ran the world. Like, they were rich as fuck.
But the great thing about at least the phone companies is at least I guess they did control certain areas. So it is just like the internet.
But, you know, we have to find out something is a monopoly before we can be like, hey, that's a monopoly. This isn't fair. But it's like they're setting this up beforehand. It's like we already know this is going to turn into a monopoly. Why don't they solve the problem before they create it? It's like the government is...
There isn't really a problem right now, and
But we can all see how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The
only-
government is self...
I don't know, man. I'm
The
scared.
the only
I'm
thing-
scared of Disney, dude. They're buying up
Disney?
everything. Yeah, they're fucking
Disney?
buying everything.
Who's scared of Walmart, though? Like, I'm
Dude,
still scared of
no,
Walmart.
fuck Walmart. Disney's buying
No,
everything.
Amazon's the one to be worried about.
Really? Are they buying more than
They
Disney?
might be your best friend, but they're in
I get
control.
free 2-day shipping.
Netflix uses Amazon's web services to host like all their stuff.
That's the thing.
No shit.
Amazon's
What part
Amazon's
of-
biggest customer is Netflix.
What part of the
they're,
internet
they're
doesn't...
the biggest competitors of each other. when it
Amazon
comes to
has
video streaming.
Amazon
Actually,
Prime.
I
And the
watched...
video,
Okay.
Amazon Video.
I watched a video the other day.
Yeah, I
I'm
know
sure
that.
you've seen this. There's a video on YouTube. Don't even pay attention to that, Chris. I'm so sorry.
But they do web hosting. They do like e-commerce.
There's a video on YouTube showing...
Captain Morgan, get your foot off my futon.
There's a video
Sleep on
on YouTube showing the entire history of the internet. And that is showing, like, the beginning. Like, the very first few towers as far as where they were used for military. And then when the military was like, hey, we're tired of taking 2 days to get one fucking message. Can we share our towers with your towers? Can we...
Well, yeah, a lot of shit was built off of military technology.
It started... Anything that we have started from the military. We all know that. That's not even worth talking about on the podcast because, like, I'm sure that this beer bottle was used in the military 50 years ago. Like, everything.
Probably more than 50.
Yeah, exactly. Anything we know, that ruler was used in the military.
1960, the beer bottle was.
That's what I'm saying. Anything we have, like, we can owe to our military because they think anything discovered belongs to them first, which I'm not afraid of because currently the military's like main goal is to protect us. Who knows when that'll change? But right now I feel safe. But back to the American people, most of our freedoms that we have, every day we find a freedom that we have get lesser and lesser. It's like, how free is this country actually becoming? We started out free.
I don't know. I've wondered that a lot. Like with Obamacare, you're free to not have health care,
Healthcare is a
but
touchy
you're
issue.
gonna pay a fine for
It's,
not having
it's
healthcare.
very, very hard
So
to
is that a
live.
freedom?
It's hard not to be a communist like country, but also protect everybody.
I think Red's a communist.
You're talking about
y'all still
Obamacare, which is
recording?
a program trying to protect everybody, even poor people. That's a communist idea.
No.
It is.
No.
Whether or not you're poor or rich, you're going to be healthy. That's a communist idea.
Universal health care?
Hey,
Yes,
Chris.
that's communist.
Hey, Chris.
We need it. It's not a bad idea.
Chris, do you have
But
a
like,
blanket
I mean,
over
I like to believe
A
that
what?
regardless
A
of how
blanket on
rich
my
or
couch?
poor you are, you
Yes.
might have a chance to stay alive.
What are you talking about? Canada has universal health care.
It
They're not a
doesn't-
communist country.
It doesn't mean that, but the idea that everyone gets treated
Thank you.
fairly regardless of your pay grade,
Yeah, but I'm talking
that's
about
communist.
I'm talking about health care. Do
But
you consider Canada a communist
We're not
country
talking
because they
about-
have universal health care?
No, but we're talking about the idea of universal health care. That's communist, obviously.
I mean, not really.
If you make $10 an hour and I make $50 an hour and we both die and get the same treatment, that's communism. Because I don't deserve it.
No, it's about
It's everybody getting treated the same.
It's called equality, I think.
Communism is where in the government everyone gets treated the same regardless of how.
communist.
I think
is,
it'd be like even no matter how hard you work,
That's how
you're
China
always
is.
equal.
In
Yeah.
China, everyone pretty much
That's
gets
not a
the same
communist-
things.
China, no. It's like a hybrid between communism and capitalism.
Well, nobody's full one. Like, you can't be, like, if you're full communist, you're like, everyone deserves to be treated equally no matter what. That doesn't work. Like, we all have to have mixtures of government. We all have to. Or you're not going to
there's no
I
purely there's no purely capitalist country. There's no purely
When we talk about
communist.
things such as healthcare, it's, you can't call anyone communist or biased because we need that. Like, yeah, if you only gave
It's
the
about
rich
balance.
people
It's
health.
balance.
Exactly. I don't like the healthcare or welfare systems in America. Like, I don't like that everyone in